So today on Getting to Know, I have Sam Wiles. Sam is a very well-known budgie breeder and is the owner of Samworm Bird Products. Well, Sam, I have 7 questions for you. The first question, just a simple introduction on yourself, your name, and where you're from.
Hello, my name is Sam Wiles. I'm from Burton upon Trent in England, the UK, and I am now 36 years old. I've been breeding budgies since I was about 7 or 8. I joined the Budgerigar Society, which is the main society within the UK. I joined them when I was 9 years old, so I've been a member for quite some time now. Feels like all of my life, to be honest. I'm a Budgerigar Society main panel judge. I'm also a WBO judge, and I breed exhibition budgerigars and the colour budgerigars, which are the miniatures.
And the second question to you, Sam, is what birds do you currently keep?
So I currently keep exhibition budgerigars, which are the bigger, more feathery ones, and also colour budgerigars, which I'm not sure where the name come from. It drives me mad, to be honest. They are miniatures. They are small birds, very, very, very tiny birds, to be honest. And they are the 2 types of birds that I keep. So they are still budgies, and a little one can breed with a big one. There's no issues with cross mating them in the respect of a breeding point of view, but obviously from a show point of view, you'll get different sized birds. The birds from that kind of pairing would be too big to be a colour budgerigar, and obviously very, very small for an exhibition, so they wouldn't do anything in the exhibition classes. So it's just budgerigars, and they keep me busy enough.
And question 3 is, what first got you into bird keeping?
So I first got interested in keeping birds for a few different reasons. Basically, when my parents moved to the property that they're still at now, it's quite a big plot for around here, and it kept me very busy. I was playing football and doing one thing or another, but I wanted something to do. And I've always loved animals, and back in the days where every pet shop had animals for sale, and literally every pet shop had a small aviary or a few aviaries inside selling different types of birds. Well, we'd gone to a pet shop one day where I'd seen some zebra finches and budgies available, and come home with some. We didn't really have anywhere properly to house them, so we soon made something to house them. But that soon, it was meant to really be a temporary thing. Well, it became a long-term thing in that respect, that we just kept adding and adding to what we'd previously got. So the connection really from the budgies point of view was that my dad, before I was born, had budgies on and off, for a number of years, budgies and canaries, and I then showed an interest in some, so it was then good for something for both of us to do, and like a shared passion. So that's where the connection is with the budgies. But we first started going along to a local club, which at the time was Trent Valley Budgie and Foreign Club, which is now just Trent Valley Budgerigar Society. I think it was a year or 2 after we joined that they did decide to split for whatever reason. And it was the budgie guys initially that were like, look, we think you should specialise in something, whether that's canaries, finches, budgies, that's down to you. But if it is budgies, we'll all help you, we'll all support you. And to be fair, it was the budgies that I was interested in, due to the fact that they come in all these different colours and mutations, and I've always enjoyed that side of things. So it was the budgies that then we decided to stick to.
So question 4 to you, Sam, is, do you show your birds? And what do you get from showing them?
So yes, I do show my birds, and I have done since the very start of joining, the Budgerigar Society and my local club, Trent Valley Budgerigar Society. The competition side of it, I think we're all competitive deep down, especially us blokes in the hobby, that we want to be the best, we want to win, we want some sort of reward for our hard work, and that definitely is built within me. I want to win. I like to win. I think it's great. You can give yourself a bit of recognition for the hard work and the efforts that you put in. So we do show, not as much nowadays as I used to. When I was a junior, we were out every weekend, sometimes twice a weekend, etc. But nowadays it is just, as and when I can, through family commitments, work commitments. Also, I judge. I'm a judge for the Budgergar Society and also for the WBO, the World Budgergar Organisation. And I always take it as an honour when I get asked to judge somewhere. So as long as I'm available or it doesn't conflict with another engagement, I'll always say yes, and I'll always take the honour of doing so. So judging, showing, family stuff, work stuff, it's a busy time throughout the show season as we have it. So I do what I can nowadays, and it is what it is. I don't, I can't be doing any more than what I am. But I do like to show, and I like to win the CCs, which are the challenge certificates. Which is basically a best of colour at that particular show. Obviously, it's nice to aim to win the major awards, but you're not always going to win those. There's only going to be one winner each time, and that's the drive to keep trying to aim for those awards and to keep trying to be the best, and win at the top levels. So that's I suppose what makes me show. That's why I show. But also, to be fair, the shows are a big social thing. We've all gone for the same reason. We're all competitive. We all want to win. But you can catch up with your friends. You can have a chin wag. You can have a laugh. You can see new people. You meet new friends. Because you go, traveling to different areas, different shows. There's more people out there than probably what you realise. Um, and then it's nice to see other people's birds. Seeing your birds in your own bird room, that's one thing. You think you've got the best normal grey in the world, or you think you've bred the best recessive pied ever, whatever it might be. But you go to a show and actually assess it against somebody else and go, oh, actually, yeah, it is a good one, but someone's is slightly bigger, or someone's is slightly better, or wider, or got bigger spots, whatever it might be. So for your own doing, from a social side, it's good to get out and see people, as well as it's also good to assess your own birds against other people's.
And question 5 is, have you always kept the same species of birds? And if not, what other birds would you have kept in the past?
So budgies have always been like the main priority, I suppose you could say, from that point of view. Budgies have always been the passion, but we had to go with lots of different types of birds when I first started. Zebra finches, budgies, Gloucester canaries, all sorts basically. We had a bit of a mixed aviary, a bit of a mixed flight. Too many things going on in too small a space, so we did decide to just stick to budgies in that respect. But then over the years, I have dabbled with the odd other thing for different reasons. I've had to go with zebra finches because I love the zebra finches from before, and then seeing the big exhibition ones, seeing all the new mutations and colours that they come in, that made me have a dabble. I had a couple of pairs and I enjoyed them, but again, having the budgies as the main thing, it was keeping me too busy. I'm very, very passionate about the budgies, very involved with the hobby. I then also had to go with Gouldian finches. Now, the Gouldian finches I think are absolutely stunning, and I certainly want to go back into them one day, and I'd like to have another go. But if I have another go, I want to do it my way. And what I mean by that is I want them to have their own bird room. I want to have as many cages as possible without being silly. Have a good amount that's manageable, and I also want to give it my all. Whereas before I had 6 pairs, and the 6 pairs in amongst a load of budgies and doing all the budgie stuff, I wasn't concentrating. I didn't have time for them. So they are something that I would like to revisit at some point and have another go with. But I'll get to that point. It's just at the moment with how life is, the budgies keep me plenty busy enough.
And question 60, Sam, is, what keeps you interested in the hobby?
What keeps me interested in the hobby and what keeps me interested in the budgies is the fact that new varieties are always coming about, and that's baffling to me that this species of bird has been around for however long now, and new things can still appear, which is great, and it's fantastic. But it's how and why, and that's the fun part of it. And once a variety then gets established, it proves that it is something real. It's not just a combination, or it's not just a a badly marked bird or whatever it might be, it does show that they are real and that they breed a certain way. So the mutations, the colours, the varieties keeps me interested and keeps a bit of fun there, I suppose. Something that also always interests me is just keeping them as a hobby, the breeding of them, seeing you select a pair, you've put them together, the hen goes and clears the box out, she then begins to lay, they're then fertile, they hatch, they get fed, you ring them. You can then start to see what colour they're going to become, which is always interesting and good fun. And then to see them get fully feathered, they leave the nest, they begin to eat, they begin to perch, and that bird eventually, becomes old enough to either show or breed with, and you think, I achieved that. That's always nice. That's what keeps me interested. And then I suppose another angle is the juniors, is the future. I was a junior at one point. I had a lot of help, and I had a lot of people that did a lot for me. And I've always tried to give back. I've always tried to do my part to the hobby. Any junior that I'm aware of, or especially if they're local or anything like that, I'll help wherever I can with birds, with information, with knowledge, preparing the show birds for them, helping them pair up, helping them sort out. Whatever it is, I want to help them. I had a lot of help and I want to do my bit back for the hobby. So juniors being the future. Not every junior continues in the hobby. I suppose I'm one of the success stories in that respect, that I started as a junior and I'm still here and I'm doing everything I can. And there are others, obviously, and it's nice when that happens and you hope, that seed is planted within the people, within the family that get the junior involved. They might have to pack up for whatever reason, or the junior loses interest when they become a teenager. They find girls, they find boys, they find cars, whatever it might be. But because they've had them before, there's always that opportunity that they'll come back. And if, as a hobby, you have helped them, supported them, done your part, you can only hope that they're then going to come back at some point when maybe they've got a young family, or they've got more time on their hands, they've got more disposable income, whatever it might be, and they think, yeah, I want to go back into the birds again. I used to enjoy that. I used to love that as a hobby. So never give up on the juniors. Always support them where you can. There are obviously the odd occasion, unfortunately, being negative now, that there are some children that are the face of an adult, basically being the breeder. It is the adult that does the work. It is the adult that does the breeding. It's the adult that does the showing and cares about the birds, and they're almost using the child as a way into the hobby, which is fine. But then that's not a genuine junior in that respect. Whereas anyone that met me as a kid and knows me now knows the passion behind it all, and that's where, again, if you can do your bit and support them, we can only hope that juniors will be the future.
And the final question is, and thank you very much for taking part in getting to know Sam. So the last question I have for you is, when you're not in your boardroom, what other hobbies or pastimes do you have?
So when I'm not in the bird room or dealing with things to do with the birds, there's not much else I do nowadays. It's basically family commitments, work commitments, and then the birds again. That's all I kind of have time for these days. I wish I did have more time for more things. In the past, I have been into other hobbies and interests, such as I used to do Warhammer, which, for those that don't know, it's very small little figures that you build and then you paint, and there is a game attached to that hobby where you can go and battle one another in that respect. But the game side was never an interest to me. I always enjoyed the process of buying them, building them, I suppose, tweaking them to some degree, how I could, and so they weren't just your standard model that everyone else did. And then it was the painting process. I'd spend hours and get obsessed with it. I'd paint one figure for days, to make sure it was correct and, to the standard that I liked. I used to enjoy playing sport as well. So, playing football, playing basketball, cycling. Us as a family, we used to have a bicycle shop. And, that was something that I did more often then, because I could and because I had the time. Whereas nowadays, having the family, working for myself, even though I don't physically do many hours at the unit, there are many hours involved with dealing with people outside of the unit. So it does vary, because of time. I would love to get back into cycling. I'd love to get back into one of the sports that I was interested in. Definitely love to get back into Warhammer. Found it quite therapeutic, to be honest. But it's a time thing, and my life is very routine. Which, don't get me wrong, I enjoy, and I'm pleased I've got a routine, but it's very routine. So I do not have spare time. And when people ask me, "Oh, what are you doing this weekend? What are you doing then?" or you know, it's the same answer all the time. I've got children to look after. I've got a big stud of birds to look after. Then I've got my business. So nowadays, it's the birds. I don't have any time for anything else. Maybe one day, when the kids are older, things might be different.
So now I would like to take this opportunity to thank Sam Wiles from Sam One Bird Products for taking part and getting to know. Thank you very much, Sam.
Just a final thing from me. I'd like to thank David from David's Bird Room for asking me to take part in this. Met David when I judged over in Northern Ireland. We had a bit of a quick chat with those judges, and then did some footage of the show and me judging and such like. So it was very good to meet him and see that side of the hobby over there, which was really good. And then to know what David's doing on YouTube is really good. So keep up the hard work, David, and thanks for asking me to be involved.